Bismillah. In a post that he made back in February, defending this successful corner character, which is another ID or another alias of Investigator 919, at the end of a blog, Gomer, aka Dale Husband, notes the following: I quote, dismissing arguments against the credibility of the Bob as Iranian state propaganda is a form of the ad hominem fallacy. Maybe. Only if there is no evidence or if there are no examples that have been given. Except I gave examples. I gave an analysis of why the sort of argumentation that this alter ego of Investigator 919, successful recorder, is pushing is Iranian state propaganda. Then Mr. Dale Husband goes on to say, historical facts with clear and consistent documentation and logical consistency are what matter, not where the facts come from. Unquote. That is exactly what I have done in my posts. I have demonstrated textual evidence. I have also contextualized historically. I have even provided a bibliography of sources and also exampled exactly why, what is the difference between actual historiography and propaganda. Then Mr. Dale Husband goes on to say, that's why I use logic and my understanding of Shia Muslims' teachings to debunk the Bab and Wahid Azal's claims, unquote. So Mr. Dale Husband, aka Gomer, is now presenting himself as an expert on Shiism. He apparently knows Arabic, and he's actually read multiple Shia sources. He knows the Shia Hadith. In the original, he has basically studied the historiography of Shiism. He knows all about the various Shia interpretations and approaches. He knows all of this stuff. And apparently he is now an expert on the subject as well. I would do that, he says, even if though I'm an atheist, and even if Iran had a secular government, unquote. The fact is that Dale Husband never, in any of his arguments with me or anybody else on the question of the Bayan, has ever cited credible sources, has ever analyzed his sources. Dale Husband doesn't even know the language, right? But this is what is very interesting, is how he is vociferously covering for a known agent, a known cyber Basij agent of the Islamic Republic of Iran. In that same blog, he actually repeats verbatim Iranian state propaganda about the demise of Mahsa Amini. Iranian state propaganda maintains that Mahsa Amini being beaten to death in custody is a lie. Dale Husband repeats that. Yet, you don't even have to go very far. Just basically Google Mahsa Amini, even if you don't want to look at the Wikipedia entry, which is quite exhaustive about the circumstances of Mahsa Amini's demise, which cites the doctors on the ground that actually gave expert testimony that she had fractures in her skull, proves that the point of view that Mr. Investigator 919 maintains on the ex-Baha'i list, that is verbatim repeated by Dale Husband, is Iranian state propaganda. Now, in my podcasts with the various different channels and in my counterpunch argument, I cite all of these things. Yet Dale Husband thinks that he has refuted an argument without so much as citing a single thing. This is why I say that this guy has made himself a sock puppet of Iranian state propaganda, whether it be on the question of the Bab or whether it be on the question of the woman life freedom movement. This guy is an impressionable fool. This is the reason why I have named him Gomer, is because without knowing anything, even though he prides himself on being an atheist, logical, rationalist scholar, time and again, this guy has demonstrated to all and sundry that he's an idiot, that he doesn't know what he's talking about, that he's basically a conduit of other people's propaganda. And it's very interesting that he vociferously defends individuals whose identities he doesn't even actually know beyond the aliases that they use on Reddit or on their blogs, whether this be Mirza Jan, who I have dubbed Madar Chut Jan, or Mirza IRI Jan, or this successful corner character, which is an alias for Investigator 919. He has never ever interacted with these people beyond those aliases, yet he is defending these people through thick and thin. Even though I have meticulously demonstrated, and the evidence is right there for anybody who actually clicks and goes and looks, that these people are Iranian state propagandists. They are cyber Basijis. And since Mr. Dale Husband doesn't know where this term comes from the Iranian opposition, cyber Basij. The Iranian government has an entire posse of online warriors fighting for its narratives and basically trolling the opposition outside of the country of all forms. And they are known as either the cyber Basij or by other terms. But Mr. Dale Husband doesn't know that, and he claims that I have actually made up that term. But this is due to the fact that Mr. Dale Husband is an ignoramus. He's a Gomer, right? And he's a sock puppet of other people. So he wants to talk about ad hominem fallacies. This blog of his from February is from top down full of ad hominem fallacies without any fucking shred of evidence or any kind of proper analysis. This is what we're dealing with. So these people think I have no credibility. With these posts that they put up, they actually demonstrate to all and sundry that they themselves are nothing more than cheap propagandists and sock puppets. Now, I will say it again. Successful Corner is an alias of Investigator 919. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. All you have to do is compare these two aliases, Investigator 919 and Successful Corner, and you will see for yourself that this is the same character. The same arguments are being used. In his debate with me, this Successful Corner categorically proved that he doesn't even know the basics of the history of Babism from the Baha'i perspective, let alone from any other perspective, let alone from the Bayani perspective. So what is going on here? As I have maintained for years, these agents of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a bulk of which are known to be Indian or Pakistani, with the Baha'is, are attempting to gatekeep, right? So they have made an industry for themselves in this whole ex-Baha'i gig of theirs, right? But they find the Bayani narrative a threat. Now, even though this Mirza IRI John, or who I call Mother Chut John, has for years and years and years and years, for the last two decades, taken posts of mine, taken my publication, taken postings that I made on Usenet or postings that I had made on my blog and republished them on his own various blogs. Now, because I am standing on the opposite side of him and because I have called him out as a fraud, right? He claims that I have no credibility. The fact is that Mirza Mother Chodjan has no credibility. He is Nasser Emtisali, but he doesn't have the manhood to actually write with his own ID, with his own alias. He never identifies himself. This also goes for Successful Corner, who is Investigator 919. These guys, every time they have debated me, without censoring, have lost the argument, time and again. So what they rely on is the same tactics that the Baha'is have used like forever against their enemies, and that is to misrepresent, to distort, to gaslight. And this is exactly what Mr. Dale has done, except his attempt is so porous and transparent that anybody who actually knows the situation and knows the fact cannot come away but to conclude exactly that, as I have, that Mr. Dale Husband is nothing more and nothing less than a sock puppet, an ignoramus being played and used by agents of the Islamic Republic of Iran, who in the background are in bed with the hyphens and specifically the BIA, the Baha'i Internet Agency. And that is the way it is. La hujja ila aliyan qabla nabil.